Hi guys, hope you're all having a great day. Again today, yesterday we covered ATP and again how that is either released or stored, again in the form of usable or potential energy. Now today we're going to discuss how all that ties into this whole process of photosynthesis and how autotrophs and heterotrophs can take advantage of this. Now, all life on Earth depends on the flow of energy through an ecosystem, and the ultimate source of that energy is going to be the sun. We can divide all of the things into two main rule categories. Whether it's an autotroph like panda bears, or whether it's autotroph like lily pads, trees, Venus flycatchers, weeds, grass, you name it, or whether it's a heterotroph, again, an organism consumes other organisms to make its own energy. So again, let's start off with those autotrophs. Again, autotrophs include all green plants, some bacteria, and some protists. These organisms use light energy from the sun to produce food in the form of glucose or sugar. Now, again, they literally turn sunlight into stored chemical energy. It's nature's version of solar power, just way more efficient. Now, heterotrophs on the other side. Heterotrophs, on the other hand, can't make their own food. That includes all animals, and yes, that means us. We rely on plants or other organisms that ate plants. So the energy from the sun passes from the food chain, moving from the plant to the consumer, and every meal you eat is basically recycled sunlight when it comes down to it. Now, a quick overview on photosynthesis. So, again, plants use the energy of the sun to convert water and carbon dioxide into high energy sugar molecules like glucose. Oxygen is often given off as a byproduct, which, lucky for us, we happen to need for survival on a daily basis. Life on Earth depends on photosynthesis for both food and oxygen. It's the foundation of almost every ecosystem on Earth. Again, whether it is uh, a deciduous a deciduous forest, kind of like what we see in our backyards, whether it's a tropical rainforest, where there's high humidity and very lush vegetation and animal life, or even to the most harsh conditions. Again, we all need some form of food and oxygen in order to survive. Now, with this whole idea of photosynthesis, again, we are looking at how, again, we are using all of this radiant energy from the sun and and with the help of that energy, again, we are going to convert water, carbon dioxide into these high energy sugar molecules, our glucose, and then oxygen just acts as a waste product. And now, what might help you guys all really relate back to all of these concepts is that you can constantly think as the earth that's constantly breathing in and breathing out. Again, whether it's breathing in all this CO2 or breathing out this oxygen. And you can see that really prevalently, especially during this time of year, again, where it's where we're kind of going from one season to the next. Again, it's just one simple way to go about looking at it all. Now, that photosynthesis equation, the overall equation starts off where we have our six carbon dioxide molecules reacting with uh, our six water molecules with the help of that radiant energy from sunlight will yield or give off our one glucose sugar molecule and six oxygen molecules. In simpler terms, plants take in all that carbon dioxide and water, use sunlight to power all these chemical reactions, and produce glucose and oxygen. So again, that glucose stores energy for the plants, and the oxygen becomes the gas we breathe. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I got a little carried away there for a hot second. All right. So again, reiterating that whole process again, that carbon dioxide get found in that atmosphere is taken in by all these plants, and again, are using the radiant energy from the sun, and again, allowing for this whole process of oxygen to be released, and all that CO2 to be stored up. So again, we see this really prevalently, especially whenever we take away large patches of forest vegetation. Uh, Again, all of these plants, all these trees and bushes around us are storing a large quantity of carbon dioxide. And again, whenever we take away trees and bushes and large plant life, and again, all that CO2 finds its way back in the atmosphere, and that's where this whole process of really our increased global temperatures is coming from. So, but more on that at a later date. Now, in addition to water and carbon dioxide, photosynthesis again requires light energy, and the pigment that we're really going to focus the most on is chlorophyll. And again, that's the green color that we can all see in plants. Now, with chlorophyll in particular, it again absorbs energy from sunlight and transfers it into the plant's electrons, which jumpstarts this whole process of photosynthesis. Now, again, there are varying wavelengths uh, of light that we can't see on the spectrum. Again, so we can only see a very small fragmentation, and that's really focusing on on all these different on all these different color spectrums that we can see. So let's go ahead and dive into how all that plays a role in this. Now, again, the role of light. Again, the atmosphere acts pretty similar to like a filter. So again, it absorbs all these different all these different colors as a part of the visible spectrum. And again, we can only see very small fragmentation, whereas everything as small as a gamma ray to as big as a radio wave, we can't see clearly. So again, we are only focusing on quote unquote those colors of the rainbow that we can visibly see. So again, the atmosphere acts just like a filter. It allows visible light from the sun to pass through, which blocks most other harmful radiation. Again, kind of like what you guys can see up here. And then again, that visible light is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And that's the real part of the spectrum that really drives this whole process of photosynthesis. Now, the sun is sending out energy across this whole spectrum, but only plants use a small specialized range of it. And that's where we kind of really dive into pigments. And again, a pigment is any substance again that really absorbs light. So sometimes you might hear hear people talk about keratin, and like if you eat too many carrots, it can cause your skin to have a more of an orangish reddish tint. Again, yes, that is true if you eat a super high concentration of those, and that so things like tomatoes, carrots, shrimp, krill are all those substances that give off that color spectrum. Again, are high in certain pigmentations. So again, a pigmentation is a substance that absorbs light, and again at differing wavelengths. The colors we though can actually see are the ones being reflected, not absorbed. So whenever we are looking at a green leaf, it's really reflecting green light and then absorbing all those other color spectrums. So again, if I'm say for instance, again, we're looking at at these red apples. Again, it is reflecting that red light and then absorbing everything, all the other colors on that visible spectrum. Now, there are varying types of chlorophyll as well. Again, we're not going to dive a whole very far into that, but just note that there are varying types. Again, there whether it's chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B. Again, all kind of dependent on again really the plant type that we see it in, um, and just its overall environmental conditions and how it can help boost the overall its overall all efficiency and completing photosynthesis. So again, don't dive too far into that whole concept of the main difference between chlorophyll A versus B. We don't need to focus a whole lot with that. All right, y'all. So this is where we are actually going to finish up for the day. Tomorrow we are going to do this next portion of notes where we talk about the anatomy of a leaf, and we'll jump and we'll take a closer look at how stomata deal with all this the gas exchange, or in other words, how all these little cells on the underside of leaves deal with all this gas exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Before we kind of wrap things up on this unit. So again, if you all have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Otherwise, have a great day, y'all. Again, um, please be sure to again pause this at any different point in time. Review it if you need to. That way we can do a okay on this quiz on Friday. Have a great day, y'all.